You should be able to name features which all chordates share, such as a notochord, a dorsal hollow nerve cord, a throat with slits, a postanal tail, a liver, etc. Now, humans may not possess all of these as adults, but they possess at least these at least some point of their life cycle, such as in embryos. The first fishes were very primitive. They had no bone, they had no jaws, they had no fins, like the hagfish and lampreys today, which are also jawless fish, which lack bone and lack pectoral and pelvic fins. I give you groups of fish in their order of increasing relationship with amphibians, and so you should be able to take that order and then put them in order. This also reflects when these fish appeared in the fossil record. So if I give you a group, you should be able to match it to the geologic period in which they are first known, such as jawless fish in the Cambrian, jawed fish from either the Ordovician or Silurian. Both of these would be accepted as correct answers. First amphibians from in the Devonian, etc. Of the two types of fish, you should be able to match them to their features. So for example, it is the rayfin or actinopterygian fish, which comprise almost all fish alive today, while it is the sarcopterygian fish, which evolved into amphibians. With these groups, the first members were often transitional in nature. So for example, the first amphibians still had some aspects of their fish ancestors. So they weren't completely adapted to life on land, being unable to hold their bodies up with their legs, or having dermal rods in their tails, or still possessing internal gills, or a notochord, etc. The first amniotes were very primitive, having a number of features of amphibians, including some dermal scales which match those of fish. Among the amniotes, there were a number of primitive groups. So for example, the first snakes still possess legs. The first turtles only had half a shell or still possessed teeth. The early mammals were transitional. There were these synapsid reptiles which slowly obtained the features of mammals, so that these synapsid reptiles did not yet have the modifications for breathing that the later ones would have. Or the first mammals were still egg-laying and still possessed a cloaca, as do the egg-laying mammals today. The early hominids were upright walkers, but still had small brains. And so you should be able to name transitional features in the early members of the given groups. For each of the clades which we discussed, I gave examples of what primitive members look like. And so a primitive vertebrate would be a lamprey. A primitive gnathostome or jawed vertebrate would be a shark. A primitive mammal would be an egg-laying mammal, such as a platypus or echidna, while a primitive therian mammal would be a marsupial, like an opossum. And so you should be able to match each of the groups to what a primitive member would be. And then also, we said that there are a number of derived features or synapomorphies which unite the members of these various clades. And I give them to you not only in the videos, but in the bottom of the objectives. And so in a matching test, you should be able to match that it is the vertebrates which are united by a vertebral column, the innervation and nerves to the heart, the tissue of bone and a cerebellum in the brain, while it is the gnathostomes which are united by the possession of jaws, paired pectoral and pelvic fins, an enlarged brain and eyes, a more complex digestive and immune system, etc.